Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about all of the different websites or apps that I use for trying to figure out where I'm going to travel to and planning my travel. I separated this into 3 different categories just to kind of keep it organized for you. The 3 categories are number 1, flights. So the best ways that you can find deals on flights and to book flights. Second one is going to be on accommodation, where I find where the heck I'm going to stay. And then the third one is going to be how I figure out what I'm gonna do, all the fun things to do wherever I am headed to travel. If you guys enjoy this video, go ahead and let me know down below. I was thinking about making sort of a series out of this, so this is kind of like my apps and websites that I like to figure out my travel with, and then I was thinking I could do something similar to how to plan my travel or months long worth of travel, how I plan that. Any ideas that you guys have for anything you'd like in that series, let me know, because I think that would be really fun and helpful for you guys. My number 1 tip, and this goes for all 3, flight, accommodation, and things to do, is to first just Google your location wherever you're wanting to go. So really simple, just literally pull up Google and type in Vancouver, Canada. And that will, first of all, just get you kind of familiar with what everything's gonna look like, but also when you go and click on some of these websites, some of these will be like, one of the tabs on top of the page can be like plan a trip or accommodation, like deals to stay in Vancouver. A lot of companies will partner with different websites that promote Vancouver, Canada, or wherever you're heading, and you might be able to find a good deal just simply Googling the location. So I would definitely recommend that, and that will also show you some good places of where to keep in mind of where you might want to stay, where you want to go, and if there are any good deals lingering around. And then to jump into finding good flights, so my very favorite thing or website to use to find good flights is Google Flights. Google Flights will change your life. Okay, so for my 21st birthday, I really want to go to New Orleans. So I can just type in Salt Lake City to New Orleans in Google Flights, and I can pick the calendar of when I want to go. When I pull up the calendar, it will show you $317 if you leave on that Thursday. It will show you different prices based on every single day. If you're just like trying to budget super hard, if you have flexible dates, you can figure out when's gonna be the cheapest for you. But there's also something great about this, besides the flexible traveling, is that you can ask it to send you emails every time the price changes on that flight. Airlines are constantly changing their prices. When you hit this button for Google Flights, it will email you directly whenever that flight changes, and if it's going up, if it's going down, and what the new price is going to be. So you can kind of gauge, say you don't want to book it for 2 weeks or something, you can gauge in 2 weeks if you're going to be getting like a decent price. If you think it might fluctuate, it will just kind of give you a better idea. And this shows you every single airline that's going to fly into New Orleans or wherever you're going. It's going to show you the cheapest options. It's going to show you like the layovers and flight time and everything like that, just like a regular airline. But it's just nice to be able to find the best deal for you. And then the other 2 that I like to use for flights is Expedia. I think that that's just like an easy go-to for any category that we have here. For flights, car, accommodation, anything, I feel like Expedia is just a good resource just to kind of gauge, and they can sometimes have deals if you book a car and a hotel together, or whichever way you want to combine the things that you will be needing to purchase. And Kayak is another good way to find cheap flights, and it's similar to Google Flights if you are into that. And then when you do find a flight that you are sold on, so if you are on Google Flights and you find this is the flight that I want to go to, and say it's all through Delta, then I strongly advise to just go on to Delta's website and double check that you're getting the best price possible, because that would just be an easy way to save money if Delta is doing theirs cheaper by any chance. Usually it's not the case, but I always like to double check because it's worth saving some money if you can, right? And if you frequently fly with a certain airline, like I love Delta, I would definitely recommend getting the airline's mobile app. I'm sure these are all different, but I'm just going to tell you what Delta's does because that's the one that I'm familiar with. But you can check in, and when you check in early, you have the flexibility to choose your seat. If other people have not checked in and have secured their seat, then you can move your seat, which is really nice. If you are desperate to get the closest one to the front, then you can change it to the front of the aircraft. Or if you really care about having an aisle seat, then you can see what's available and switch to whatever is still available, which is really nice. It also shows airport maps, so if you're looking for a specific restaurant or something, then that's super easy. And it's just a really easy, helpful app, and it will tell you if your flight is about to get delayed or if you're gonna land early based on the weather that they're projecting. Just a more real-time thing than if you just have like your boarding ticket. And it will also tell you your gate and everything like that, which they don't always have if you check in at the airport. Moving on to accommodation. Airbnb is a really simple, very well-known one, just like Google Flights, but I personally love Airbnb. If you're gonna be staying somewhere longer than 2 or 3 nights, to me it's a no-brainer to do an Airbnb because number one, it's usually cheaper than most hotels. And number two, even though you're paying for less, sometimes you're getting more. So sometimes even if you're gonna be spending 75 bucks on an Airbnb, you will still get a kitchen or whatnot. Plus, if you're going somewhere that you're not familiar with, it's really cool to be able to kind of experience a different culture in their household, if that makes sense. Whether you're renting the whole entire place or if you're just renting a room with other people in it, it will give you kind of a more local feel and idea to where you're staying. If I am not going to book an Airbnb, then I also go through Expedia, which I mentioned earlier, which I just feel like shows a lot of good deals. And the only reason that I don't recommend an Airbnb if you're only gonna stay 1 or 2 nights is because there are cleaning costs and service fees and not just a nightly fee. If the service fee and the cleaning fee is worth it to you, then totally do it. But I just know for me, if I am only gonna stay 1 night somewhere, it will more than likely end up being more than a hotel just because sometimes the cleaning fees and the service fees are way more than you expect, and you end up paying more than if you just got a hotel in the first place. And third category is figuring out what you're gonna do once you actually get to your location. So what I love to do to figure out what I want to do while I'm there is, first of all, I love using social media. Pinterest, YouTube, and Instagram are 3 super easy ways to figure out what cool things are in each location. For granted, sometimes these things are overdone and maybe like more touristy, so just take that into consideration if you don't love that kind of thing, because I know for me personally, I don't want to do the same thing that everyone's done a bajillion million times. Obviously, sometimes tourist attractions are there for a reason because they're beautiful or they're really fun, but that doesn't always mean that they're the best option. I do like to use them as a resource because everyone is always on those platforms, so usually you can find those hidden gems and figure out something that's gonna work for you perfectly. There is a lot of information on those 3 different platforms in my opinion. Another way to figure out things to do, Airbnb has a newer tab where instead of just searching for homes or for accommodation, there's also like an activities, I think is what they call it, on their website. So it'll show like if you're going to Hawaii, maybe a local has a paint class that they do on the beach. They charge $30 for you to come paint with them on the beach. They have different things like that that are a little bit, they're usually not as touristy attraction stuff, like they're usually more under wraps and not known or used very often. So sometimes you can find good deals and sometimes they just give you a unique experience to that location. Maybe if you go to Spain, they do a cooking class in their own house, which would be an awesome experience. Just different things like that that are not necessarily like you are going to Spain just to learn how to cook this meal with this lady in her house, but it's a cool experience to have and something different to do. Main places that I like to hit when I am trying to plan my travels. If you have any awesome secrets, go ahead and leave them down below so I can know and so everyone else watching this video can get in on these secrets to save money or find super cool things to do, or whatever kind of tips that you have. Go ahead and leave them down below because I'm sure everyone would love to hear them. I hope that you all enjoyed watching today's video, and I will catch you guys on my next one.